closed 38 West? I had to pull over with my abacus and my quill pen to recalculate this bitch. Who's got a quarter for the payphone?
I want to get home and watch Quincy.
Hi, and welcome to Boomer's Garage Burgers. I'm your host, Ryan. We do things a little differently here.
Bye. It's like I just came to sample the Kolsch, but now I got to explain to my wife how I got bruises all over my ass.
This one guy would sip iced tea, do crossword puzzles for hours, and then tip her 300%.
And then go home to finish making his lampshade out of human flesh. The girls would come up and try to talk to us, and they'd be like, yeah, nice outfit. We're arguing about the industrial lubricant vendor selection process, which I have carefully scripted on this cocktail napkin.
I guess if it said turn right into a brick wall, we would all do it like lemmings.
If your friend's GPS jumped off a bridge, would you?
And who could forget that big volcano thing with the sparklers they brought out for dessert? I didn't know whether to fire extinguish it or eat it.
My brother stabbed Chuck E. Cheese in the eye with a salad fork. Don't get me started.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
It's hot out there, people.
Yep, and we have more shows coming up this week.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
One, we are actually going to go to a big arena, which I haven't been to in quite a while, next Friday to see Knocked Loose, and I think Slipknot will be there as well. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not going for Slipknot. Yeah.
So we'll definitely be giving you a review on that. It's a little pricier than our usual concerts, but that's the.
I guess so. Yeah.
If you wanted to be on the floor, it was like $100 and some bucks.
We were going to go run last night, and we asked what the temperature was, and Google told us that it was, with humidity, it was like 104. And I thought to myself, are you just trying to kill yourself? Is that what your end game is? Are you looking at heat exhaustion? Is that where we're heading?
Yeah, our dog was like, I'm not walking.
So we decided to jump around in the basement instead. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to get out there today. I got to mow the lawn and I got to get out there. So.
Right out of the gates, our sponsor this week is Unemployable Sibling Seltzer. We've all got one, folks. You know you got one. Okay. If we go to a restaurant, and the waiter says something like, in case this is your first time, we do things a little different around here. I'm out. Oh my God. Because I don't want ambience. I don't want an experience or zaniness. I just want food. Okay. Needless to say, when my ex dragged me to enjoy a slab of mutton without napkins or utensils and watch some half-assed jousting tournament at medieval times, it wasn't exactly my idea of whoopee.
You know, drinking Mountain Dew out of a goblet should be against the law and an affront to cupbearers since the actual Middle Ages.
It's true. We're watching a lot of Game of Thrones. Can you tell? The Brazilian steakhouse shtick. How about that? Where they give you a card and they just keep bringing you steaks until you flip your card over that you've had enough. This must be a way around the language barrier. They don't have to actually have waiters that speak English. They can just look for the card. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to finish these 4 ribeyes or the 3 T-bones. Sorry, Pedro.
What if your neighbor accidentally, to be mean, flips your card to go and you're just descended with meat? You know, they have this dumb thing, too, at Bubba Gump Seafood.
Oh,
the same type of concept.
I cannot stand that movie.
If you want your server, you have to put up the stop Forrest stop sign. And if you want the service to go away, you change it to the run Forrest run sign.
Lame-o.
I couldn't imagine working there. They show Forrest Gump on a loop, and guests can play Gump trivia.
The ultimate baby boomer movie, yeah.
I imagine the turnover is staggering, with retention time being about 2 weeks before the box of chocolate stick has you ready to jump off a bridge. My drink tasted like it had absolutely 0 alcohol in it, and I could only guess the employees needed it more.
So is it Texas Roadhouse where they suddenly will break out into a line dance while you're eating?
Yeah.
Sir, your Garth Brooks is giving me heartburn.
You know, it is true that for Texas Roadhouse, each restaurant employs a butcher and a baker, probably not a candlestick maker.
Only in Lancaster.
But those meat cutters have to work in 34-degree freezers for hours carving steaks. This is probably what started the line dancing to begin with, so these guys could stomp some feeling back into their feet.
We went to this Bavarian-themed restaurant when I was in Chicago last time. And the shtick was the waitresses that were like dressed like St. Pauli girls, they would spank you with a wooden plank.
Oh my.
It was like hi-dee, hi-do, hi-dow, wham, the drunker people got, the more public floggings were ordered. I don't know whether you paid for it or what. I can't remember, but it went on until Helga's arms were sore and the frat boys couldn't sit down. It's like, I just came to sample the Kolsch, but now I got to explain to my wife how I got bruises all over my ass. Of course, the worst experience of all is the Japanese steakhouse with all the juggling, chopping, noisy clanging. Is all that crap necessary? Funny how you're always the asshole if you don't want a sizzling hot egg thrown at your face. Come on, Mark, we're all doing it. Or there's the restaurant where you sit down and the waiter walks up to you in a bizarre referee uniform with a button on it that says Hospitality Maniac on it.
Hi, and welcome to Boomer's Garage Burgers. I'm your host, Ryan. We do things a little differently here.
Bye.
So let me explain. Behind me, you'll see our impossible jelly bean jar. If you can guess the number of jelly beans in the jar, your table gets a complimentary order of extreme cheese curd.
Yay.
Now, unless you have any other questions, I'll get my unicycle out of your way, and your sword swallower will be along to take your drink orders.
That's when a guy juggling chainsaws while balancing an order of fajitas on his nose comes by to take your order. Our featured dessert today is Boomer's famous flaming apple lava pie. Mind the fire extinguisher to the right in case you need it. You ever go to one of those novelty burger places where the booths are shaped like cars? We met a customer at one up in Ohio once, and he signed our contract while munching on a burger inside a converted Studebaker. Luckily, the horn that went auga helped us call the waitress.
You know, there was a restaurant up the road from my office. Decent enough Asian food. The theme was jazz records and science fiction movies.
That's weird.
Both covered every wall. Where does this combination make sense? I guess if you're interested in Romulans cranking out Satin Doll on a clarinet. To each his own.
Who doesn't want to hear that? I mean, come on. Even places like the Tilted Kilt never really did anything for me. There was one up the street from one of the plants at my old job, and I would go there with the plant manager to argue about supply chain projects because it was the only place where we could like speak freely without the other employees hearing us. The girls would come up and try to talk to us, and they'd be like, yeah, nice outfit. We're arguing about the industrial lubricant vendor selection process, which I have carefully scripted on this cocktail napkin. Yeah, I'll take another beer. Thank you.
My daughter actually worked at a Tilted Kilt, and there were definitely weirdos/stalkers there. This one guy would sip iced tea, do crossword puzzles for hours, and then like tip her 300%.
And then go home to finish making his lampshade out of human flesh.
You know, they were required to come in and leave in street clothes. My guess is to avoid the lonely men waiting for them in the parking lot and escape incognito.
Yeah.
When I went in and asked to be sat in my daughter's section, I felt the need to say, I'm her mom, not just some random boob starer. My daughter told her boss I should come work there too. He replied, yeah, I'd do a little mother-daughter thing.
Okay.
Never mind, Sparky. You're coming in a little hot.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Kids and I also used to enjoy Rainforest Cafe when they were young. We had one right at the local mall. You could dine while the lights would suddenly flash. You could actually feel the wind pick up, and then a mist suddenly comes down as a thunderstorm erupts. My youngest was fascinated, but also a little frightened of the subtly animatronic animals that would come to life. And usually, I would suddenly have a kid in my lap, especially when the gorillas started squawking and chest thumping. And who could forget that big volcano thing with the sparklers they brought out for dessert? I didn't know whether to fire extinguish it or eat it.
My brother stabbed Chuck E. Cheese in the eye with a salad fork. Don't get me started. I went to the Rainforest Cafe in Florida when we were down for Disney. The one in Orlando. I swear the price for a bacon cheeseburger was second mortgage.
God.
Okay. Let's talk about our feature interview.
Our feature interview this week is with the Wisconsin-based guitarist, singer, songwriter, Daniel James. We discuss some truly dizzying the number of projects he has going on, from Chinese telephones to World in Action to the Daniel James Gang, as well as getting the scoop on the demise of one of our favorite bands of his, Indonesian Junk, and how their spirit lives on in another exciting project. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, this song is from the Daniel James Gang, and it's called Misery. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcasts, and for $6.66 a month, you get what I would describe as a runaway school bus full of Mark and Stace.
Lots of reviews, lots of tips. I am sure I will be making more pickles this year.
That's tips with a P. Get it right.
We have some more cucumbers coming, as well as I was just scoping out some really yummy looking air fryer recipes now that I'm in my air fryer phase of life. A quick tip, if you have a leftover wrap, like from a restaurant that gets soggy in the container, spray both sides with cooking spray, put it in there for like 2 minutes, crispy again. It's fascinating.
See, there's a great example of the wisdom, the horse sense of the woman. Tons of it over at Patreon, including a wide variety of reviews, both positive and negative, that you will never see on this show, as well as entire discographies reviewed. You got fitness tips from Stace. It's a bevy of Mark and Stace. So
think of it this way. We are not taking a vacation this year. Our vacation days we are using to go to shows. So we are basically trying to get out behind these bands, get out live streams to you. So it can only benefit you further. Also, for Instagram, I try to remind people when I'm going to do a live stream. I will try to do Knocked Loose. I have no idea how this is going to turn out.
I don't know how far away. We might be too far away.
We'll try.
We'll try. Anyway.
I'm going to try to get a hold of Brian anyway.
Yeah.
Tackle him or something. I got to get a press pass.
Anyway, so let's talk about the era of the map.
You know, how long ago? Maybe 15 to 20 years ago.
Not that long ago.
No. There was no satellite hookup to find you the quickest, toll-free, carbon-reducing route to Zip's dry cleaning in a couple of swipes of the phone.
No, we forget how easy we have it now. If you, even at the time of dial-up internet, you still had to read a freaking map once in a while. I had a stack of those Rand McNally map books in my trunk for work. They were all dog-eared, pages were stuck together from this combination of spilled coffee and my tears. Some of the roads would get blended together in the ink, and then you'd end up across town at a Dollar Tree parking lot scratching your head and going, this doesn't look like an air compressor plant.
Do you remember when they had those car GPSs that you could buy?
Oh, yeah. Like a Price Club and stuff?
Yeah. But the problem was they didn't update.
Yeah.
So when they made that new ramp that kind of banks up, that goes from 95 to 695, if you looked at the GPS, it just had my car hurtling through midair. I'm surprised it didn't go, ah!
I remember when they were doing all that, as much as we enjoyed being in Frederick, they were doing a lot of construction in Frederick, and I used to have to go out there for work, and it was just spinning wheel of, it didn't know what, this is not supposed to be here, it's supposed to be over there, like the caveman GPS, it wasn't having.
No, they weren't connected to the internet already.
No.
Preloaded and often wrong.
Yeah. So,
hard to imagine nowadays, but there was no way of knowing about traffic delays, road closures, families of Canadian geese gumming up the works. Crap! They closed 38 West? I had to pull over with my abacus and my quill pen to recalculate this bitch. Who's got a quarter for the payphone?
I want to get home and watch Quincy. Anyway, I used to work with a lot of truck drivers back then. I literally, how old school is this? I had a file folder in my desk with directions to my customer locations. The phone would ring, landline, and it would be, hi, this is Earl with Fuzzy Duckling Express. I'm calling about the load out of Baltimore. And I'd have to give them directions, right? Once in a while, they'd call thinking that they were like close, and they were like 170 miles away, which is why I think the phrase, it's only an inch on the map, came from. But does anyone say that anymore?
As the crow flies is another puzzling saying. I think it means to take the most direct route there, which ironically enough does not equal the fastest.
Yeah.
And if you went as the crow flies, you probably wouldn't take highways.
And there was also zero accountability for those food at this exit signs, they made it seem like the Roy Rogers was going to be right at the end of the ramp. Nope. It's actually 5.2 miles away, subject to 3 turns, 2 street name changes, if you find it at all. I used to get irritated with people that didn't have like the map of the United States tattooed in their brain like me. So I assume I go east on 40 and then north on 1, right? Well, you'll pass some Big Lots and a Burger King. Wait, which side is it on after that? And be like, forget it, lady. Give me somebody who knows how they come to work every day, you know?
Hell, if someone says to me, oh, you just want to go west, I have to figure that out. I'm like, all right, where does the sun rise? Okay, over there. And then it sets over here. So that makes it, yeah, I'm gonna need a compass, and I need to put in a call to a cartographer if I'm gonna figure this out.
My handy dandy protractor.
Remember the era of MapQuest when you could
God.
ask for directions and it would come up with it on your computer, but the only way to take it with you was to print it out? It was like the transistor radio version of Google Maps. Sure, you got a set of directions, but there were still issues.
You know, one time I'll never forget, I printed out MapQuest directions to go see somebody in DC. And I got downtown where it's real hectic and complicated. I went to go turn up the street it told me to, and it was gated shut. Like, thanks a lot, MapQuest. Now I don't know where the fuck I am. Yeah. The same thing happens to us in Home Depot. Whatever aisle we want, that's the one that they got to close it down for the big production. Get out the forklift and the flag. Shut her down, Carl. I just wanted to get some soldering paste if I could. No.
I got stuck behind that. I muttered at them. Worst parade ever.
Yeah, worst parade ever. It is.
So I like the people that still think if they need to give you directions in 2024, like my parents' age, now you're going to be coming from south of the city. Well, you're going to want to account for traffic. Dude, my phone will get me there and recommend any 5-star Thai restaurants along the way. If I so desire, I've got it covered.
Yep.
But you can't depend on it because even now, every once in a while, or for our office on a daily basis, the GPS will get it wrong.
Yep.
Turn left at the light. Then it makes the
dang dong.
You fucked up noise. Recalculating. Who doesn't panic when it makes a discordant blue blanc? You missed the turn, dummy.
Yep.
The screen changes like 4 or 5 times in rapid succession. The phone starts to smoke. Behind you are laying on the horn. Yeah, we got nothing. Somehow our Google pin got moved from where it should be to show where our office is. Somehow it moved to the Port of Baltimore, which is nowhere near us. In fact, it is completely on the other side of town. So we thought it originally odd that patients who had been to the office so many times suddenly were calling to say they blindly followed their GPS to the Port of Baltimore.
They moved your pin. That's like Mission Impossible, Ghost Reckoning, duty recognizance stuff.
I mean, at what point?
Help me, Tom Cruise.
But think about it. At what point are you just randomly following the GPS directions with no common sense kicks in? When clearly you are not even in the right part of town. I guess if it said turn right into a brick wall, we would all do it like lemmings.
If your friend's GPS jumped off a bridge, would you? Think about it.
Yeah, I think that might eventually be how a terrorist kills us to just screw up all our GPSs and then we'd all drive off bridges. You know, so we realized that the pin was wrong. So to fix it, they had to do crazy stuff like call Google and film themselves unlocking the front door of the business to prove they were the owners. They had to get photos of the eye charts, show the magazine selection in the waiting room, patients arguing about copays, the doctor's golf handicap, all kinds of weird shit to prove they were legit.
The tuxedo performance of putting on the Ritz was good, though. I liked it. I don't see how that's necessary, but
I don't know how or why that got moved in the first place. But if that was an act of sabotage, it was brilliant.
Okay, let's play a song. This is Daniel James Gang with The Hunt. talk about Home Chef.
Home Chef, you've heard us talk about them before. I have tried other to your door meal kits. By far, Home Chef has the best recipes, the best quality ingredients. And as we found out recently, as they dropped our food here at 100-degree heat, the best packaging.
Yeah.
It was still cold.
We need it this time of year. Yeah, it's brutal out there.
I don't worry about it when they drop it off when it's 30 degrees. Anyway, from Home Chef, you can pick your meals. We do every other week. You can do every week if you like. You can do anywhere from 3 to however many meals you want. Any order over $60 ships for free to your door.
Everything is customized.
Yeah, everything you can customize. They have vegan options. They have express options. I like the kind you make yourself. We will be enjoying later this week a cherry bacon sirloin with cheesy potato gratin. So they give you a picture of the finished product. Along the way, you give step-by-step instructions. They'll even give it customized instructions where you could use chicken breast, salmon, filet mignon. You can always
put cherry and sirloin in the title for any meal. I'm there. Yeah.
You can also make it vegan if you prefer. They have lots of different options. If you have a slightly bigger family, like for us, it's just the two of us, you can double the meat if you would. We also have a pepper and onion steak with garlic lime rice. Again, a combination I might not have put together.
Wow.
Garlic lime. And then later we'll have a pretzel crusted chicken scallopini and honey butter. Again, you get your step-by-step instructions, your substitutions, how to do each and everything, how to plate it. It's super easy. You don't have to worry about.
Almost like a schnitzel kind of thing, but caning optional.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna, give the spanking option if he would like that.
Yeah.
After I beat the schnitzel.
There's nothing like having a good sturdy piece of wood in your hand.
Yeah. Feels good.
Yeah.
So if you would like also to get hassle-free meals, you don't have to go, oh no, I'm out of that ingredient because everything comes right to your door. Use our link. It will save you off your first order.
Okay. It is a good collectorbation this week. We are going to talk about Jethro Tull's 1969 album Stand Up. Now, I'm always fascinated by bands that are huge in the UK and can't get arrested on the US side. It's crazy. I mean, apparently we're a stodgy sort when it comes to our classic rock. Think about it. Thin Lizzy, the one song's okay. Slade, only if Quiet Riot does it as a cover. Free, they're all right now. Get it? Anyway, and then there's Tull. 4 shaggy dudes that write folk songs about the English woodlands. One of them is in a codpiece, jumping up and down on one leg with a flute. And the US, we're like, hell yeah, we love this shit.
Odd as it seems, Tull were always huge in the USA. The love affair going all the way back to their sophomore album, Stand Up, a record that found the band pushing past the blues hues of their debut in favor of a more folk-driven experimental sound, fueled by the Technicolor guitar of new recruit Martin Barr, who actually replaced short-time fill-in Tony Iommi.
Yeah.
Here he is, listed as Martin Lancelot Barr.
I'm not sure of the medieval terminology.
It was a bold move for the band, one of many divergent paths that Tull would take throughout their long musical career. Recorded at Morgan Studios in London in 1969, Stand Up is 10 songs, mostly in the lean 3 to 4 minute range, that run the gamut from slow blues to thundering rock to mandolin charged anthems. All of it fascinating and all of it absurdly British.
Let's play a song. This is called Don't Want to Be a Fat Ophthalmologist.
It's actually just Fat Man.
Don't want to be a fat man. People would think that I was just good fun. Would rather be a thin man. I am so glad to go on being one.
One aspect of the band's sound rarely mentioned in reviews of this record are the rhythm section of drummer Clive Bunker and bass player Glenn Cornick, both who deliver shit-hot performances in every track.
Oh, yeah, they do.
The album kicks off with Nasty Blues Creep of A New Day Yesterday, a cut that juxtaposes Anderson's lower-end croon with smoking blues harp and dazzling cymbal abuse from Bunker. it is not long before the folk elements at the edge of the debut are brought center stage, namely the sprightly bongo and flute workout that is. Geoffrey goes to Leicester Square. Anderson remarking, "You listen to the newsmen on TV. You may fool yourself, but you do not fool me."
How great was that song we just played for you, Fat Man? I mean, great stuff. And one thing about Early Tull that I hadn't really realized until I kind of revisited it this week is, like we said, the drummer, Clive Bunker. Fantastic, right? But a lot of the percussion, especially on the folksier stuff, is just them banging on things. Like it's almost like, well, we could have the drums here, but you just bang on my guitar case a little bit. There's a lot of that. If you listen closely, you'll see that. You'll hear that in a lot of their music. Anyway, Fat Man is guitars battling mandolins and a bona fide bongo solo with lyrics about being a fat man. But make no mistake, this is no Piccadilly stroll through acoustic numbers. Stand Up is a colossally heavy record for the time. Even the take on 18th century composer Johann Sebastian Bach's lute piece, Boré, comes across dark and menacing, with Anderson's gasps and shrieks between the melodies adding distinctive charm. Of course, the disc's crown jewel is the rumbling workout of Nothing Is Easy, with Anderson's sunny vocal performance directly in contrast to the absolute battle between ironclad bass lines, squealing guitar, and grandiose stick flash of the highest order.
Stand Up went all the way to number 20 on the Billboard album chart and has long been certified gold. The band's stock would continue to rise with subsequent releases that would meet with both critical acclaim and healthy sales on both sides of the pond. How they convinced the record company to pay for that pop-up album cover for only their second release is still beyond me.
If you think about it, you hear the stories of like these bands that needed American producers like Rick Rubin or Mutt Lange to, no more of that English pussy talk. Do you want to make it on the side of the pond? It's gasoline, not petrol. Let's hear it again, right? Meanwhile, you have Tull writing songs like Thank Heaven for Dr. Bogenbroom. I mean, not giving a fuck. Absurdly British. Anyway, so this is Nothing Is Easy.
Nothing is easy. You'll find that the squeeze won't turn out so bad. Your fingers may freeze, worse things happen at sea. There's good times to be had. So if you're alone and you're down to the bone, just give us a play.
Okay, you want to introduce the interview with our friend?
This is our interview with Daniel James. This is his second appearance on the show. We really enjoyed every project this man is in. He's amazing. The more you talk to him, you more...
Get out a piece of paper and check off every time he mentions a band with a kick-ass name. It's like 9 times.
So we really enjoyed our chat. Glad to have him back. Very excited to hear about his new bands and many projects. And I think you're really going to like all of them.
Yep. So take it away.
So we haven't talked in a
In
while.
ages, yeah.
No. I just noticed your dog in the corner, by the way.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. He's usually here 90% of he's our third host most times. He's either here for the show or he loves to be here for the interview.
Nice.
Once in a while, he'll mill around and like a microphone will fall and get tangled up. That's not good. No.
I did like a live stream during the pandemic, and you could hear my cat just fucking like booking all over the room.
Yeah, we always do these via Zoom, as you know. But then we started live streaming on Instagram, and it doesn't have those fancy noise reducers like Zoom does, so you hear everything.
Yeah.
Usually he's running around. You can hear his collar going clink, clink.
Because she'll be playing the Instagram live feed, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, that sounds like shit." Is that the dryer background?
That's horrible. Or we do have 3 cats too, and if they come down, sometimes he will go at it with them, and it's like,
oh hell yeah! I hope that happens. I mean, you probably don't want to deal with it, but I love watching animals play.
God, we were like mid-interview with Hate Spear, and our ginger cat went boom and landed in the middle of our table, and he was like, "Oh my!"
Yeah, that was really weird. Yeah,
and he never does that. Usually they stay out of it. Jax is usually the only one here.
Well, I guess let's start with the demise of Indonesian junk. I was saddened and surprised way back when to hear about that.
Yeah, we were like working on a 4th album. And I think like Mike was just I think we worked pretty hard. So like those both Mike and Johnny were kind of I want to do other stuff. I think Mike might just be done with music in general. He's just, but he gave his drums to his kid. But then Johnny was like, yeah, I've like had other projects I want to work on. So that like they mentioned it to me, and they like we had a band meeting and everything was cool. Like we're still like best friends. I mean, obviously Johnny plays with me again, but I'll get back to that in a minute.
Right.
But yeah, like I think Mike was like kind of worried that we would like hate him if he quit the band, But it was just I think it ran its course. Like I think it was just kind of a thing where like we were working on a new album, and he just kind of realized it was like, well, a new album's gonna take like a year to make, and then we gotta wait for it to come out, and then we got a tour on it. Like realize it's kind of like maybe a 3-year commitment, I'm like not really ready for that. So, but they both kind of like gave me the blessing to keep using the name, but for a variety of reasons, one of which was like I always felt like even though Indonesian Junk started as a solo project on its own, it got to the point where I felt like it was me, Johnny, and Mike, and maybe whoever else is playing with us. And I just like I was didn't want to use the name without those guys. So then I started using the songs I wrote, slowly working on Daniel James Gang stuff in between a million other projects that I suddenly landed in my lap. But there's a thing like once the singles like started getting ready to drop, Johnny kind of hit me up and he was just like, I miss playing with you. Like I think he came, saw me do a couple solo gigs, and I was like, well, I have these solo singles coming out, and you already know half the set because we're playing like Indonesian Junk songs, and like so now Johnny's playing in the Daniel James Gang, so it's like
okay,
pretty. I mean, it was already like the continuation of Indonesian Junk, which Daniel James Gang was also an old band I had a long time ago that Indonesian Junk was the continuation of. So just kind of like full circle. It's the same band.
Gotcha. So you're playing Indonesian Junk songs at your gigs for Dan?
It's right now. Well, I'm still like finishing up the record, like because we only have like our third show is coming up this week. But like it's mostly Indonesian Junk stuff right now. Just like I'm trying to finish those songs, but it's just I'd somehow joined like 3 new bands.
You've been a little busy.
Yeah, on a project.
Get around to all that.
Yeah.
So I love like the old clips you put up on Instagram all the time of different bands and pictures.
Nice, yeah.
And all your different varied punk flavorings. What are maybe some more of your obscure punk rock favorite bands?
More obscure band like I mean, I don't know if they'd count as obscure, but I feel like a lot of people don't know them. Like I love Dogs D'Amour. Like they're like one of my like up there with the Stones as far as I'm concerned, and the Ramones as far as like ultimate bands go. Yeah, stuff like that. How obscure, what kind of punk are we talking?
Any kind. It's just like Mark always like strive like Jehu.
Okay. Yeah. Is that a Is that a Mark Sultan band?
That's more like post punk. That's
okay.
It's the guy from Rocket from the Crypt.
Okay, yeah, it is a Mark Sultan band. Yeah, I thought I've heard of them. Yeah, I like the stuff I've heard. I've not really like done a deep dive into like all of his bands, which I really feel like I should because he's great.
Yeah, for me, he's one of those guys that like every project is worth checking out. He's kind of like I don't know, like what do they call that? Like a polymath, whatever.
Yeah. I really like my drummer Logan, who plays in both Chinese Telephones and Daniel James Gang with me. He's in this new band called Bad Crime that just put out like a split 12-inch with another band called Heavy Leg from New York. But like Bad Crime, they are ruling. Like I think they're about to go on tour. Yeah, I know they are because they had some like East Coast dates booked, but like that's definitely something obscure people should check out. Pretty new. I feel like they might blow up though. So
yeah.
There's been so much new punk coming out. It seems like almost every week we have at least one band. I'm obsessed with Sprints. I was so sad they came over here and they only came to DC and we just couldn't make it work. Or Gottlieb. Who's kind of on your Spotify list these days?
On my Spotify, let me check. What am I weirdly on Spotify? So much of my Spotify like playlist is music I'm working on. I'm just like looking at my recent like playlist, and it's like, oh, the Daniel James Gang upcoming set list, the Jeff Palmer set list. I'm working on like a Thin Lizzy tribute band that's playing in Florida in October. So
That's
there's
great.
like that. Let's see, what have I listened to recently? There's Y&T, Judas Priest, the
Oh, wow.
Markmen, Vex. What else is on here? Oh, there's like a glam playlist that I made a long time ago. T-Rex, Flaming Groovies, Exile on Main Street, First Saints album. There's a Madonna playlist. That's all my favorite Madonna songs that I clearly listened to recently.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still I don't know, I've noticed like I have a lot of records. So I tend to, when I'm at home, I listen to a vinyl more than anything. So I mostly listen to when I listen to Spotify at home, it's like if I'm just working on like guitar stuff, because it's really easy that way. Or like if I'm driving is when I listen to Spotify a lot. So it tends to be like more on the upbeat side as far as Spotify goes, because it's all like, oh, I gotta drive for 3 hours and need to stay awake. It's time for Too Fast for Love.
There you go. Yeah. So your Thin Lizzy cover band, are you gonna do all the different eras or?
Um, yeah, I think it's all Gorham like era. So it's no Erica Bell stuff that I can think of. It's only 7 songs because we only have like a half-hour slot. We're playing the Gainesville Fest in Florida, and it's
The Gorham Robertson stuff mainly, I guess.
yeah. There's some Gary Moore stuff in there. It's
Oh, cool.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, starts like Jailbreak up through Thunder and Lightning. Yeah.
Well, that's Sykes then, yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
there's
Love
Sykes
that
in
record.
there. There's some Snowy White in there. So it's I don't really know how we're gonna pull it off because everyone in the band except for me is from California, and I don't know how or if we're gonna rehearse. And I'm just like, it's my friend Davey who also plays in Tilt Wheel, and I'm just like, I guess we're just gonna wing who plays what part of the
Yeah.
harmony. I
Oh,
think it'll sound good.
we were doing an interview. I forget how it came up. We were talking about John Sykes the other day. What a lucky man he is.
Yeah,
He got picked
yeah,
to be in Thin Lizzy and that from
yeah,
that Tigers of Pandang. Then he hooks up with Whitesnake,
yeah,
completely turns them around, and then just he writes the self-titled and doesn't even have to play it or doesn't even have to
yeah,
tour
yeah.
anything. He just took the money and the publishing. I
I
mean, he
never
never
thought
had
of it
to
that way.
work again after that. Really, I wouldn't think, you know.
Yes, sometimes I'm like, oh, he kind of got screwed, but I'm like, oh wait, he just like
He's
got to
still
make
getting
the
paid,
record.
you know.
Yeah, it didn't have to do the years of touring. So
Yeah, he didn't have to do. Poor David Coverdale's still out there banging it
yeah,
out. I don't think
yeah,
Sykes has to do that.
yeah.
Anyway.
Do you yourself have a favorite Thin Lizzy album?
Ooh,
I
it
know it's hard to pick. It's like
varies.
they're like my children. I can't, you know.
It varies. Sometimes it's Black Rose. Sometimes Chinatown. I mean, Jailbreak's probably the default. Johnny Fox. Oh, that's such a hard question.
It's really
Yeah,
hard.
there's so many good ones.
Mark
Like
finally got the blue rose tattoo
Oh, I
on
got
his.
yeah,
the black rose tattoo. Yeah, right here.
nice.
It's
Yeah,
like my corsage. So
But
yeah.
they blue him in black. So that
Yeah,
works.
so I officially have Lizzie ink now. Yay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So much good stuff there. I knew as soon as like I
yeah.
saw that you were doing that, I'm like, he's gonna be so excited.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I really am kind of overwhelmed, but I started working on the stuff finally though, and it's only 7 songs. So I'm like, okay, this is not as terrifying as I thought it was gonna be. But I was just, I don't know, it's those guitar players are all a step above me. Like I would never try to pretend that I'm in the same league as
That's
Scott
how
and
we
Gorham
all
or
feel
like,
that way. We all
yeah,
feel that way. Yeah.
So I was so glad in 2023 Chinese Telephones got a new EP out of my hands.
yeah.
So what guys kind of got you back in the studio?
There was always the idea of staying, like being a band was always something we wanted to do, but we just like our drummer Gorky like moved away a long time ago, and he's back in Wisconsin, but far enough away where like we couldn't regularly practice. And we had like Amos from Tenement was like filling in for a couple of years. We always wanted to work on new stuff, and then eventually Logan, who is our drummer now, who's also in Daniel James Gang, like he moved to Milwaukee and he's in a lot of other great bands. Like he's in Direct Hit and he's plays with my friend Nato, or used to play with my friend Nato Coles and lots of good bands. He moved to Milwaukee and we were all just kind of like, this is the guy. Like we can, I like, and we mentioned it to him and we're like, hey, do you want to do this? And he was like all about it. And then we were going to start practicing. COVID happened. Um, Stuff started to open up again, and we're like, you had a whole year to think about it. You want to do it? And then we started playing shows, working on new stuff, and then yeah, it's finally the new stuff's finally starting to see the light of day, and it's I'm really stoked on that band. It's a lot of fun. I've been in that band since for half my life now, like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that. Now, how many colors of vinyl? Because I at least saw 2 on your Instagram page, the blue and
For the new one,
yeah.
there was a first pressing that was pink and black. There's like 100 pink and 200 black, I think. I can't remember if we did 300 or 500, which is I think it was 300. So 100 pink and 200 black, and then that sold out right away. So we just did another pressing that has 100 blue and 200 black. So pink, 100 pink, 100 blue, 400 black.
Good mix.
Yeah.
So you also, I liked the Dictators cover.
Oh yeah.
Loyola. It's pretty true to the original. Is there anything you had to change to kind of fit the way you play, or?
I don't know. We just kind of did it. Like we were just doing it live anyway. So we're just doing our attempt to like do it straight up. And then we just liked our version. So we recorded it. So I feel like it's pretty straight up. There's like a little bit of vocal phrasing that to my ears sounds different than the record. But I mean, I also, Ross the Boss is a way better guitar player than me. So I definitely like did my best take at playing a solo, but it's not like trying to ape his solo. It's just like I'm playing in my style, which is heavily influenced by Ross the Boss, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so really some good stuff.
How do you pick a Dictator song, you know?
yeah.
It's gotta be so
I've
hard.
always wanted to do that one, and someone brought it up at practice, and I was like all aboard. And then I'd always push to play it live because it's definitely the one that I get to show off the most as far as that band's concerned. And then like I don't know, people liked it, so we're like, we should record it.
I can never decide which is my favorite. I love the Schmaltzy debut.
Yeah.
But then what's it? Blood Brothers is so great.
Yeah.
It's
I love Manifest Destiny. I got
that's the one that
I have a Dictator set. Well, it says
you got it. There you go. You can show
DFFD, and that is based like 100% off. I was like in a really like low point. I'd just gone through a divorce, and I was just like listening to Manifest Destiny nonstop because that's
the
like,
one everybody rags on, right?
Yeah, I know the band themselves do. I saw them once, like in the early.
I like it.
Aughts.
I don't know why. I don't know why they rag on it. I like it.
Yeah, it's different. It definitely like they'll call it a sellout record, and I can see how they were probably like trying to be more mainstream, but like it's still good. Like I mean, it's like it's definitely different than the other stuff, but like I love it. Like, and I think it's a great like addition to their catalog.
Was Marco Mendez always in the band, or is he just in that one?
He was just on that record.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned recently it was a thing where Chernoff quit, I guess, after the first one.
Okay.
And they brought him in to replace him, and then he eventually rejoined, and that's why they put Chernoff on keyboards and like third guitar for that record. But I guess he'd quit the band, but clearly, like, I don't know. I liked when Manitoba was doing like the Dictators NYC thing, but
yeah,
like it's not the Dictators without Chernoff. Like he's the songs. Like there is no Dictators without Andy Chernoff.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I think our favorite track was Radiana.
Okay, yeah.
So much energy. Is that a real person?
That's a great name. Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea what comes out of Justin's brain when he writes songs. So I don't even know what his lyrics are. Like people always like give us crap. They're like, I can never understand your lyrics, and I'm like, I've been in the band for going on 20 years. I don't know our lyrics.
Yeah, I always love different female names that come out there. It was funny. Like we were watching the show and they call this girl Sophia by Fia. And now I've seen Fias
Sophia
pop up everywhere. Oh, yeah. So maybe there'll be a Radiana out there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right up there with Layla, I think.
Yeah.
So you and have played a lot out with Chinese Telephones. So what does a set list look for like you guys today? Because you've had such a long history. Do you go all the way back, or?
I mean, we really only had one album. Like we had one album and a bunch of EPs. So like we do all the stuff from the new EP, by which we don't do Loyola every night. We do the 3 originals from the new EP, and then we do like a good mix of like stuff from the first album. Every once in a while we'll throw in like some other tracks from like our singles and EPs and stuff because we do like to mix it up. But it's mostly like the 3 new songs and stuff from the one album.
Do you have a favorite one that you love to perform live?
what is that? I'm drawing a blank on the name of the song. Live Like This. Sorry, I was about to pull the record out and look up the song title. Live Like This has always been my favorite one. And there was a while where we were not playing that one live for a long time. I think it was just because we're a punk band and like some like pop punk kid was just like, that song's boring because it's more mid tempo. And I was like, that's always my favorite. And I don't know, everyone else like got like kind of self conscious about it. We never played it. And then when we finally like started playing on the regular again, we're just like, I think Justin always wanted to bring it back, and I really like pushed to bring it in the set. And it's just like, I don't know, there's just something about like that guitar melody. Like I love the guitar melody I play on that, and it just, I don't know, it kicks up a lot of emotions. It's really nostalgic for me. It just like reminds me of being on tour like 20 years ago, and like just traveling the country and stuff, and just like like there's a lot of there's a lot of life in those songs because like we've been playing them for 2 decades now, but it's just like that one just really like whenever we play it, like it's just like all the feelings hit me, like still every time we play it.
Yeah. You have any any particular memories of this tour? Anything? Any madcap? Any hijinks?
It almost downed us. You came all the way out to PA.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did Pennsylvania. We did DC, but yeah, we didn't hit Baltimore. We tried. I hit up some friends in Baltimore, but I think we only had a week to go. So I'm trying to think like oh, New York. New York is always fun. We had like a crazy show in Philly, which was like, we just opened for another band, and it was just like it was a Monday, and it was just like a gigantic room, and like it was just like sold out on a Monday night, and I was like this is a Monday. I don't know. Like usually people are like, oh, I wish you could get you here on a Saturday, and like that. Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah, New York is always fun. Like always have the best time there. Trying to think what else. What was fun? Cleveland was really fun. We played with this band called The Mist. I don't know if you'd have heard of them. They're I'll throw them out there. Yeah, Mickey, who used to play in some bands called like New Creases that would play with us and stuff. She's in another band called Zanny Stars. But yeah, The Mist, they're really good, like very like Wipers-esque.
Cool.
Oh yeah, and she was in
love Greg Sage, yeah.
Yeah, Nervosas was the other band she was in before The Mist.
So you did some shows with the Marked Men, I think.
Oh yeah, we just did like 2 with them. Those were
great.
Our tour was originally kind of booked around them, and then we had a work issue, but we still had those shows booked, so we're like, well, we'll still do those Chicago mock shows.
I didn't realize they were still together. I mean, I remember when the first album came out. I was a huge hype when the first album came out. Yeah,
they do like occasional. I mean, they don't put out new stuff. They're all active in other bands, but they still try to like do a couple shows a year. They seems like they're doing a lot because I think it's kind of like the 20th anniversary of on the inside.
God, I feel old.
Yeah.
Really? Jesus.
I know, yeah. But we go way back with those guys. Like my first ever band, Los Nosferatu. One of the first out of town shows I ever played was with the Reds in Green Bay. They're all like pre-Marked Men band. I dislocated my knee on stage. I was 18 years old.
All right.
I was too like I thought I hobbled back to the stage and finished the set with my knee like hanging out.
Did
like
you
I just
jump or fall or
I really don't know what happened. I just like collapsed on stage.
Oh,
it was weird. But I mean we go like because those guys, Jeff and Mark, produced the Chinese Telephones album. And there was a while where we kicked out our bass player who played on that album. He's just all around horrible human being. I don't want to get into it, but he's just one of the worst people that's ever existed, and I'm not exaggerating. But
why is it always the bass player people say?
I don't know. But when that happened, like we like Andy, who was our original bass player and has been back in the band ever since the album came back. But there was like a brief moment like where we had like the first time we played Gainesville Fest, we had Jeff from Marked Men played bass for 2 shows for us, which was awesome. I sometimes go back and I'm like, I was in a band with a Marked Man.
Yeah.
He probably barely remembers it, but it's definitely like a highlight.
Yeah.
So
a couple new bands I discovered this last week. You might know them. I want them to be good. I haven't listened to them yet. One's called Patsy Decline.
I haven't heard of them.
I haven't heard them yet. Yeah. I'm going to. It's on my list.
Okay.
And the other one is called Moron's Moron. But I didn't know if you might have known who they are.
I don't know either. I like a good band name.
Please be good.
Yeah.
Please be good with those names. I mean,
so yet another thing you're involved in. You're a very busy guy. This World in Action thing.
Oh yeah.
So that's a little more different for you, being a little more political.
Yeah.
How did that come together?
Um, Weirdly, it was Bonnie the singer. I've always been like really good friends with her. We used to work at this call center together, like back in the day, and we just always been friends. And she was in like this other great, like kind of street punk band called Lawless. I don't know if street punk's the right word. She'd probably get mad at me if I said that. They were really good. Uh, and like she just kind of she hit me up. I just remember last year at this like outdoor festival, she was like, "I need to talk to you about something," and I was like, never got back to me, and then like weirdly, like another friend of ours just texted me one day and he's just like, I heard you doing like a kind of like post-punk anarcho band with Bonnie. Like, and I'm like, I don't know anything about it, but I would love to. And it was just like kind of worked out where it was just like maybe 2 weeks. Like we had the first time her and I got together to like flesh out ideas was like 2 to 3 weeks before like Indonesian junk broke up. So it was just like it was really cool because I'm like, oh, now I got something to like focus on and stuff. But yeah, I'm really stoked on it. Like it's a
Different
weird
style from you.
yeah, and it's kind of a
Yeah.
weird mishmash of people because it's like
Her voice is great. I love
yeah,
it.
we just recorded like I don't know if it would count as an album. We did about 8 songs, maybe a mini LP EP. I don't it seems too long to be an EP, too short to be an album, whatever you want to call
Okay.
it. But yeah, we're just like starting to get roughs back right now, and I'm really stoked on it. It's so much fun. Like Kelsey, our drummer, is just a maniac, and like Gilly, the bass player, like comes up with most of the riffs. I've come up with a couple. I usually like kind of work my way. My favorite thing to always do in bands is I take other people's parts and then accentuate them, you know. But he's the riff master and he just like comes up with wild shit. And then I can say shit, right? It's not
Absolutely.
TV doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Right? There's the FCC
We
doesn't
cost more than the
regulate
people we're
podcasts.
Yeah.
So I love those wailing guitars in the final war. How does
Oh,
it
yeah.
feel to bust that out? Wow.
Kind of hard. I'm starting to get it now. As it's like, it's very like that's music I've always like been way into, but like also not the kind of stuff I've ever really played. And I'm trying really hard to be less rock in this band, you know, which is why I like throw so much like chorus and stuff on it. I'm just like, I'm trying not to be like stereotypical Daniel James when I play in that band. And it's weirdly, I'm getting the feel of it now, but yeah, that solo was just definitely like I did a lot of takes on that, which is weird considering the fact that we recorded it in like 3 hours. But yeah, it was just very, especially laying that down. It was like I feel we played live enough now where I'm like, okay, I got it. But like that was pretty difficult for me actually. Yeah,
Interesting, because it's like there's crusty leads. Is usually it's just a few notes, but I guess it's the way you hit them, the way you attack them. That howling sound. Yeah. Well, here's a good question for you. I was arguing with my brother about this the other day. Why do you think Discharge did Grave New World when they did? What the hell were they thinking?
I don't know. People go through phases. I, it
and
makes
they like totally got away with it now because everyone's forgotten about it. But we're just like, what?
It makes no sense to me. Like I still try to wrap my head around it. Like,
and it's the same lineup and everything. It's
as
Hear Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see how they kind of like broke up for a while after that. But
my brother was like, well, they saw that metal was making more money, and I'm like, give me a break. I don't think they were trying to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably into that stuff, you know. I mean, they were all like, clearly there's like metal influence in that first record, you know. And it's, I mean, not that kind of metal, but like, it's just like such a weird 180. Like I cover a lot of stuff. Like I play in a lot of different bands, but it's the sort of thing where it's like, if I put out Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing, and then all of a sudden like the same band like wrote a new set of music and it was Grave New World, I'd be like, maybe we should use a different band name.
A different band name, exactly.
You know, but I mean,
I remember getting the promo. I got the promo photos and they looked like the Cult. And I was like, what the hell is this? You know, what is this? What are these outfits? You know,
and it wasn't even gradual where it's like, you know, like some bands will like gradually make that shift. And that was just like overnight. Like, and it's, I mean, I was too young then to really know what was going on. So like, I definitely was like, I don't, I was alive during that time, but I definitely wasn't at Discharge or Punk. So I don't really know like, what would be going through people's minds like in that pre-internet making records era. So like maybe it made sense to everyone in the band at the time.
Yeah.
I know it definitely didn't make sense to discharge fans at the
I
time.
read something, I think it was HR from Bad Brains, somebody from Bad Brains, who said, "Oh, I made sure that when they played live, I got up above them and spilled beer on them when they tried to play those songs." Like he took matters into it. They were like throwing ice at him and shit. I guess that's passion, right?
Yeah,
You
it
know.
still blows my. I still like try to give that record a chance every couple of years, and I'm just
It doesn't
like,
really like ever
no,
pick
I
up.
can't
Is the
do it. Yeah,
thing.
I can't get it. And I love like hair metal. Like, I
Yeah, and if they
love
were trying to
that.
go for like a King Diamondy kind of thing, that
Yeah,
I'm into that, but
yeah,
it has that same kind of tempo like the whole time. That's the
yeah.
problem I have with it, you know. So I don't
I
know.
mean, there's the thing my friend Patty pointed out once. It was just like metal bands trying to go more punk in that era seem to like do it better, but like punk bands trying to go more metal were just like there's definitely like a talent deficiency there, you know, for like the metal bands that went more punk seem to like pull it
Yeah,
off, and the metal bands that or punk bands that went more metal just like
yeah,
weren't as good.
yeah.
I mean,
The
there's still
Cro-Mags
good
kind of
stuff,
got
yeah.
away with it, but
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the others didn't.
I
You
mean,
know.
that first Cro-Mags record like destroys anything else they did though. I
Mhm.
mean, that was definitely metal tinge too, but already anyway, but
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So also getting back to World in Action,
Hmm.
when the song "The System Kills,"
yeah.
is that about like politics or
I wrote I weirdly that's like my one songwriting contribution to that band, and it was just like we had not had stuff coming out and I made a demo. I had like some placeholder lyrics that were just like the most like really bad. Like I'm not good at writing about smart things. And Bonnie made them a lot better. I'll just say that. So I mean I think the main thing was complacent my where I'm coming from. I mean like I feel like Bonnie took it to a new place, but my initial like meaning was like a lot of just like people that are complacent as like horrible things are happening, like kind of just like same thing that like living in the USA is from on that Indonesian junk record, just like corporations and governments are doing horrible things to people, but like I got this great cell phone, so like I'm just gonna watch Netflix and like it doesn't affect me.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot of that, you know, like people just like being complacent while horrible things are going on in the world that, you know, if people put a little more effort in trying to change things, like just a little bit of effort from everyone, like the world could be a better place. But, you know, people just like tune it out. I guess was my main thing, but yeah, yeah.
yeah.
yeah, it's tough. When you see all that horrible stuff going on in
Yeah.
other countries, and most people I think are like, well, what can I do about it?
Yeah.
Well, there are things that you
Yeah.
can do, even if it's just sharing the video of what's
Yeah.
going on. You're doing something. You don't necessarily have to start a rally or a parade,
Yeah.
but Lord, so people will come home from work and just, like you said, go home and,
Yeah.
throw on the TV and just
I mean,
enjoy.
it's kind of easy to do that too, because I feel like Americans get work just hard enough where like they have to settle for complacency, where it's just like I know I'll do it. I'll come home and I'll just zone out in front of the TV because I'm worked to
Yeah.
death, you know? And I get it. And it's just like I feel like it's probably like baked into the system why people just like are just conditioned to work just long enough where like they have like a little feel like they have a little bit of freedom, but at the same time are just like kind of stuck in a rut, you know? I don't know.
So I was glad you said you had some other songs, because when I looked a World Action up on it, it has 3 songs. Then I saw you guys did shows. I'm like, they got to
Yeah.
do more than
Yeah,
3
we
Right,
we
right.
cranked that 3-song demo out real fast. It was I honestly like it felt like it was moving really slow and like suddenly like we were able to make it work. That everyone in that band is really busy with a million other projects too. Where there was a thing where like kind of getting together. We knew Subhumans were coming to town and we're like, this has to be our first show. We have to get on this show. And it was a thing where they're like, well, like their agent was like, I need a demo before you can get on the bill. So we're like, we cranked it out. I feel like 2 weeks before we even hit the studio, like we didn't even have those 3 songs down. And then somehow like we had a real window of time. Like the guy that recorded us like was about to leave to go on tour in Europe, and we like literally had 3 hours to record. So everything was done live. Literally live. We ended up like not being too happy with the vocals, so like Bonnie came over to my house and redid the vocals on this microphone right here,
Oh, wow.
standing right here in front of my records. That is my like
All right.
buffer. That's my buffer to keep sound waves from bouncing everywhere. Is my record
That's great.
collection. But yeah, I mean like, and then we've been working on some, but yeah, I think it's a thing where like we don't get together as much as we'd like to, just because I mean Kelsey, our drummer, she owns like a pretty busy venue in town and like has to do a lot of work for that and is involved in like a lot of projects. Bonnie like makes clothing and stuff, and Gilly's in another band, and I I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm doing with my life right now. But but I feel like we're efficient when we get together. And I think yeah, we did like 8 songs. Right, we recorded them right before I went on Chinese Telephones tour, which was a couple of months ago now. But Bonnie and I just went in to like do a couple overdubs to like finish it up, and we're like starting to get rough mixes back now, and I think it sounds pretty good. Like I'm pretty stoked on it.
Right. Yeah.
So going back, we touched a little bit on your Daniel James Gang. So you play guitar and bass for that?
Yes.
So I guess obviously you had to record it. Did you have to do one or the other first?
I did the guitars first. I'm usually like I kind of yeah, I probably did all the guitars first if I now that I think about it, and then went in and did the bass after that. But I kind of was like writing them both at the same time because I was like demoing a lot at home and working on stuff. But it was a lot. I like even like when we did that because we went into the studio, recorded the drums, and then I just like had the drums at home and was like messing with stuff. So I was like going back and forth a lot. Like I'd record some guitar, record some bass, kind of maybe go over, do different guitar, do different bass, like back and forth. It's kind of like band practice by myself.
Well, that new Model Army cover turned out really good. The bass sounds really good on that.
Oh yeah, I'm stoked on that. I didn't want to have it be such an early single because that definitely doesn't sound anything like the rest of the stuff. The plan was to do like a same thing with The World in Action, like kind of a mini 8 song mini LP. But it also my former roommate, who's recording it, he's also very busy. So he like does front of house sound for like a like kind of like popular touring artists and stuff. So he's on tour a lot. So
when you play live, do you play guitar or bass?
I play guitar. I mean, Johnny's back in the band, so Johnny plays bass. And then my friend, do you guys know Jeff Palmer? He was in The Connection. He does solo stuff. Okay, worth checking out. Really good power pop guy. He played with Kurt Baker, or he's still like him and Kurt Baker play together a lot. He moved to Wisconsin. He's playing guitar for me now, and then I also play guitar in his band, which is just called Jeff Palmer. And then so we trade off a lot. It's like do each other's songs in our set. It's
So I love the song Misery. There is so much emotion in your voice during that song.
I think I finally learned what my voice is. And I think I did it on that song. Like I was just like, I've been trying to like find where my voice fits in music. And I was like, I did that take and I was just like, I was singing it in like a complete like way higher. And then I just like kind of tried it like that. And I was like, this is where my voice sings right. And and it's just like I am so happy with how that turned out. Like
it's great.
Yeah, it's really it's powerful. But what are your outlets when you're feeling that misery to kind of lift you up and get you out of them?
Writing songs like that. I think weirdly like I don't know, because I wasn't like actually in that kind of mood when I wrote that song. I just like more was like insomnia at the time, and I just kind of like was like, oh, I'm just gonna play guitar for a while, and that just kind of came out of me where I was like channeling that feeling that I feel a lot, but wasn't actually feeling at the time I felt it as much. But I don't know, I can get back if I'm like in a depressive funk. Sometimes I try to like just throw myself into activities, which is probably why I'm in 30 bands. Other times I don't know, I can definitely get bad and like zone out though sometimes. It was a lot worse when I still drank, but I don't mess with that anymore. So
there also seems to be a lot of cross-pollination between you guys and City Mouse. How did you kind of come to work with them? You know, she does your backing vocals.
I mean, well, weirdly, that Thin Lizzy cover band is just me and City Mouse. So I'm at Miski. We stayed, Chinese Telephones stayed at Miski's house in California. God, like 2012, I think. weirdly, like it was a thing where it was just like kind of a loud party. We're trying to sleep. Didn't really socialize with anyone. And then in the morning, like also when everyone left, like just kind of like while I was waiting for my ride to come pick me up, we just started chatting and like became like instant great friends, you know? And then there was I think like Indonesian Junk when we were still like on the crime single, like we were always looking for a second guitar player. We went through a lot of second guitar players. But she was like the first one where I just kind of like threw out, like made a Facebook post like, hey, is anyone like want to play in this band that I am in? And she hit us up right away. And it was a thing where she lived in another town, but we're just like she can definitely play on tours with us, you know. And so we did like, yeah, we did like maybe like 2 1 week tours with her. And then yeah, so there's always been like a connection. I never like got to play with City Mouse. She tried to get me to play on the record that Mass Giorgini did, but I just like couldn't get out there in time to do it. I've never, yeah, this will be the first time. It's not actually City Mouse. It's Build a City Mouse. I've been calling it Thin Misky, but like this is gonna be like the first time I've actually like played in her band. But she's playing bass, right? So like, yeah, I always wanted to play in City Mouse, but it's just thing where I don't know, just great friend. Like we've traveled. It was like whenever her bands would come through the Midwest, I would always just like wind up in the van and follow them around, you know, like just like it's like being on tour, except I have zero responsibilities.
Should feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So do you remember our game?
I remember there was a game and I was trying to remember what it was, but I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was.
All right. So I have 100 questions before me, and don't worry.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Many times.
I pick a number, don't I?
You
Yeah.
pick 5 numbers between 1 and 100.
1 and 100. Ooh, this would have been easy if I originally had this set up in my room that I play D&D in, so I'd have dice to roll. But
yeah,
5 numbers
Take
between
advantage.
1 and 100. And I'm trying to think. I'm sure I picked 69 last time, so I'm not going to do that one.
They're different
Unless they're
than
new
last
questions.
time.
Okay, all right,
They're different.
69.
I refresh them periodically.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
did.
13, 27, 99, 49. Lots of nines today, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They just seemed like good numbers as they came out.
So you did 169 first.
Yeah.
Do that one.
All right.
Does everyone pick that?
No. Well, I actually have to change that one out quite a bit because it's like horrible. But
It's the 66s and 77s. They usually
yeah.
and the 13 usually. Yeah, we got
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah, 77. You probably get a
we
lot of
talked
punks that are
after
like
our last
77.
episode.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on taxidermy?
Taxidermy. It taxidermied animals are just like terrifying enough in a way that like I'm fascinated by them. Yeah, I don't know. My dad was like a hunter and a fisherman, so when I was a kid, so there's definitely like a lot of like fish and deer heads everywhere. It's it's interesting. I guess I don't really have any strong feelings either way. Like it's you know, it's as far as like I did think about when my cat died, I kind of wanted to get him like taxidermy, especially because it would be terrifying, and he was kind of a terrifying cat, and I knew you'd appreciate it, but I just had him cremated instead. But so I guess I've contemplated having my cat memorialized that way, so I guess
Yeah.
I would be pro.
I think in your part of the world, it's a little more accepted
Yeah.
than like, say, you know, right in San Francisco or somewhere
Yeah.
like that where people are a little more liberal. They might not like it as much.
Yeah, I mean, I will say like usually people that like have that stuff terrify me. There was one of the first songs I ever wrote was called The Hunter. And it was really bad. It was like the worst kind of punk shit that like no one should ever hear. But I was definitely like in high school when I wrote it. I definitely wrote it like sitting in my living room, like looking at this muskie my dad had on the wall, and it was just like just the bad punk lyrics. It was just like I got animal corpses on my wall to prove I killed them big and small. And I was a vegetarian at the time. I was a vegetarian for like a very long time and still kind of wish I could be, you know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that scene from Psycho last week on the show where she walks into the room and all the taxidermies all attacking birds, and it's just such an ominous
Yeah.
scene and creepy. Yeah.
I mean, I think like, you know, if you hunt for food, that's cool. Like I love venison, but like you know, people that are like going to Africa to like kill elephants and shit just to like for sport,
poaching,
you know,
yeah.
like Jimmy John from Jimmy John's,
Yeah.
like that shit is lame. Like I don't support that at
Yeah.
all. Like
We found this disturbing trend on Etsy. People are selling like mice that have been taxidermied and are like holding a beer and smoking a cigarette.
yeah.
And they're like $200. I'm like, really? For a dead rat?
Bad enough
Yeah.
the mouse probably
Yeah.
already died from cosmetic testing.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you're
No
gonna-
kidding. Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
in death, it doesn't get a break,
Yeah.
you know?
Not on Etsy. They're out to get you. All right. Number 13. What would be on your ultimate sandwich?
My ultimate sandwich. Ooh. That's rough. I know people don't like tomatoes. I love tomatoes. Um, some sort of hot pepper. Big like poultry fan, turkey and chicken. Some sort of cheese. I like Munster. I try not to eat a lot of mayonnaise, but when it's on a sandwich, it's really good. So I'm gonna actually put it on there because it's the ultimate sandwich.
Ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah, like a good like an oat grain bread or something. Maybe a sourdough. I don't know. I never thought about it. I usually just take whatever's there and make it, but I'm trying to think of my favorite things when stuff is there.
I was reading this article. It might have just been on a Reddit or something, but the $5 footlongs at Subway are now like $13 or something. Somebody had said, we were losing money on these the whole time.
Yeah. Subway is so horrible.
Which I guess, duh. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense that they'd be making any profit on a 12-inch sub for $5 with me.
There's a Subway and a Pizza Hut, both within like a block of my house, and I was really excited when I moved here because I moved like for the first 20 years I lived in Milwaukee, and just kind of like this artsy neighborhood that definitely wouldn't allow anything like that in there. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm like walking distance from all this trashy food like that. I was so stoked, and like, yeah, I went a couple times and I was just like, okay, that charm has been lost.
Yeah. That's the end of that, right? Yeah.
All right. Number 27. If you founded your own country, what would you name it?
If I founded my own country, what would I name it? Really? I've thought about this before, but I can't remember where I was at. God, this is a hard one.
Well, you have many colorful band names that you've come up with.
Yeah, and they're all every band name I've ever had has been bad though. Oh man, I had a really good one and I can't remember what it was. Can I come back to this one? Can I think about it and then come back? All right.
All right. So we'll circle back to that one. We did 27. We're up to 99. How would your parents describe your personality?
I don't know. My dad doesn't like me. I just a libtard. I guess I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
all right. My daughter doesn't like me most days.
Yeah. I got my mom passed away when I was really young, but she was cool. She was a hippie. But yeah, my dad just has really no interest in things I do. So I try to like maintain a friendship with him, and he tries to maintain one with me, but we're just completely different people, you know? So it's like, yeah.
Oh, I get that. That's like her and I, and she's gonna get married, and she's gonna be the biggest bridezilla, and I've already had it, and it's over a year away, and I'm like, oh my God.
There is okay. My dad only once ever. My dad came to see me play music. My old band, the Motorcycle Prom Dates, was playing in my hometown, which is Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I'd already been living in Milwaukee for a while.
That's a great name, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite bands I've been in. But we were playing. We had already played. And we were down. I was downstairs, just like hanging in the green room while there's another band on stage. My dad walked into the venue and just thought the bass player in that band was me, and he was loaded, and just like hugged the bass player in this other band. And was like, "That's my boy."
Oh my!
And then the owner of the venue just comes running down. He's like, Dan Upperman. Oh, that's my real last name, by the way. I just let that slide on the air. But he's like, "Your dad's here," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "Get him out of here now." So I've had an interesting upbringing. Let's just say that.
That's funny. Yeah. I'm not close to my parents either. The way I like to mess with people, they'll say, "Are your parents still alive?" And I go, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh,
I mean,
Alright.
I love my dad, but he's also just like I think we're just different
that
worlds.
story kind of puts it all in
Yeah,
perspective."
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, my sons and I, we get along great, but you put her on top of things and it's all like, you are gonna get your hair and your makeup professionally done. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
I will
whatever.
say, I will share this story with you. When my son played lacrosse, I cheered for the wrong team. They all had this, there were
Did you
different
know?
ages playing at the same time, and they
Oh, you
all
were like
had
cheering for a different like age
red
of
helmets. Well,
the
here's the
same
thing, right?
school.
They all had red. I don't know why the hell different ages didn't have different uniforms, but red helmets and navy blue jerseys. I'm like, wow, he's really aggressive. Good job. Wasn't him at all. I remember my ex-wife's like, "Are you going to cheer for your son?" And I was like, "Shit, I was on the wrong field."
I will say my dad I think is finally like understands what I do, like music stuff. Because that, like band guys, you'll get like the parents or uncles will always be like, "Oh, you make a lot of money doing that?"
Yeah,
Like
of
no, like
course.
eventually, like my dad, like I think after we toured Japan, my dad just like was just like, "Oh, that's just like his hobby. He does that. Like I like to go fishing. He likes to play guitar." And I was like, "Yeah, that you get it." And he's never bugged me about that. So he's coming around.
Funny, it's so different in like Scandinavia, like in Finland and stuff. I mean, they take it very seriously there. I mean,
Yeah,
there is no "what's your day job?" If you're a Swedish rock
yeah.
and roller or you're in a Finnish death metal band or something. I mean, they consider that to be a career. It's not, and like, yeah, what do you really do now? So they're
Still
just
don't
not
know what
like
I'm
that.
gonna name my country. I still got one more question, but I have to think of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're up to 49. Would you survive if stranded in the desert, and how?
I do really like I like to think that I'm resilient and I overcome stuff, but stranded in the desert seems like I'd probably die.
I always think of that horrible Better Call Saul episode when
Yeah.
he was stuck in the
Oh yeah.
desert and had to drink his own pee.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
yeah. I had yesterday at practice, I was talking to Johnny about I don't remember what we're talking about, but I was like, I do know what piss tastes like though. And then I thought about it for a second. I was like, oh no, I'm just thinking about Malort. Like I just had Malort once and just assumed that's what piss tasted like. Like I,
Yeah.
All right, so did you have a
what country?
country
Oh man.
name?
I'm not. Can I pick a different number? I cannot think of anything.
All right, so we'll go with that was
It's like 14.
okay. So I'll go the one above it.
Okay, all right.
Do you believe in aliens?
Um, I would assume they exist. I've never encountered one. I assume that. I mean, I can't imagine this being the only planet that has some sort of evolved life on it. Like it just. I don't like. There's too much out there for there to not be aliens. You know.
Are you into that stuff at all, like alien movies or anything?
I mean, like I'm way into sci-fi, so yeah, it's
What's
I
it
mean,
called?
I'm
Eight
way into
body
Green
problem?
Lantern, so yeah.
There's a show on Netflix called Three Body Problem, really good. If I
Okay,
don't know if you checked it out or not. Very,
okay,
very good.
yeah, I'm about
Yeah, it's
familiar.
it's
Yeah,
new and it's an interesting take on an alien movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked it. So you've been in the business a long time. What was the
Yeah.
shortest lived band you were ever in?
Um, I feel like I've probably been in a band that's only played one show, but the Open Source is one I can think of that only played two shows.
Great name too.
And that was Andy from China. I was already in Chinese Telephones at the time. It was kind of a bridge band between Motorcycle Prom Dates and the first incarnation of Daniel James Gang, where I was like trying to write some power pop stuff. Andy, who is the Chinese Telephones bass player, like him and I did it together. Dave, who played in Indonesian Junk, like when we first started, was the drummer. Steve Doe, who's in the Phylums, and I think one of the bands was he in? He played bass, but we played two shows. We started like I think our first show was the same weekend as the first Chinese Telephone show. It just kind of fizzled out. Dave was not feeling it. He quit, and then we tried another drummer, and I was just like, it suddenly became a lot more pop punk with a different drummer, and I was just like, this is not what I want to do. And then and then I think they eventually changed to because the drummer that replaced him was named Nick. They existed as a band called Andy and the Stevie Nicks for a minute. I don't even know if they played shows or not. And then shortly after that, like we kicked our first bass player out of Chinese Telephones after our first tour, and Andy joined, and that I think that kind of like fizzled all that out because they're just the two bands just kind of turned into one band, but it was still based around Justin's songwriting. So, but there was a moment where we were gonna do a split 7-inch with Chinese Telephones on the open source, and I was like. Back then, I did not have money at all, and I was like intimidated. I was like, I have to pay twice as much as everyone else that's going in on this. Like, yeah.
Did you ever consider writing your memoirs based on like all these different bands and all your different experiences, your success with sobriety?
I weirdly, there was this point during the pandemic where I was just like, I saw like another friend, Daniel from like Wax Museums and TV's Daniel is like his main thing now, and a bunch of other cool bands started doing this thing where he was just like writing like every day would write a little bit about like every release that he's ever played on. And I had like a couple weeks off of work and actually wrote like it turned into a pretty long thing where I just like all of a sudden I was like, I think I might have just wrote an autobiography, but I ended up not finishing this, but I do have it all kind of written out. I was like just sharing it every day, and then the plan was to do like a zine afterwards. But then it's something that I've been meaning to like go back and revisit, especially because I've played on a lot more releases since then, where I was just like, I realized like being able to like compartmentalize my life into, because I've played in, I mean, I don't know if you can see like everything in these two rows here is records I've played on.
Wow.
So, like I've played on a lot of stuff in my life, and it just like encapsulates like maybe not like the high school portions of my life, but like everything from like late teenage up till now, like. I just realized I was like, it's kind of cool. And it's, I mean, it's something I've always wanted to do. I feel like I'll finish it at some point, but I've just been like busy with other stuff. I want to finish my comic book too. Like have a second issue of that has just been like literally on the drawing board for almost 2 years now.
When people say to you, rock and roll is dead, what do you say?
I don't know. It probably is. I don't get like
it's all you do.
But... I don't get up in arms about like people that like get mad about that. Like I'm just like I like to play it. People enjoy it. It goes through waves of popularity. I just know that I'm having fun. If people don't like it, like I'm not gonna get mad that, like I don't like anything that's on the radio nowadays. I just don't listen to it. I don't know, but like it's really like I hear that people get that a lot, and like people get really defensive about it, and I just like it. I mean, it's not dead now. There's definitely like a lot of cool bands going around. It's definitely not mainstream by any means, or like even like top tier underground sometimes, but like it's I if there's a cool band, I'll go see him. I don't care if there's like 8 people there. Like it's a lot of fun. Like I really appreciate what exists and what I have access to and being able to do it. And I'm gonna keep making music if people like it or not, And like I love rock and roll.
Yeah.
As my good friend Joan Jett once said, I love rock and roll.
Well, you guys have a big festival coming up for Chinese Telephones. Ironically enough, the
UFO Fest. Oh yeah. It's Tom Smith, who has been the best promoter in the state of Wisconsin for as long as I've been alive. He promoted that show that I dislocated my knee on stage in when I was 18. He's thrown it together, kind of influenced by Goner Fest in Memphis. I think he was trying to do like something on that, and he's 3 days. He's got a lot of cool stuff coming through. I mean, he's been putting on great shows. I would say single-handedly the reason why if anyone my age or even younger is cool in Wisconsin can be directly traced to his existing. So like
at Goner Fest, we reached out to Greg Cartwright last year. We were gonna have him on the show. Wanted to talk about like I want to hear all his Oblivion stories. He was like totally not. He was like, oh no, I can't talk about the Oblivion. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really understand his response, but I was like, oh well,
Maybe he's got a gag order.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was just I I was so into that band. I loved them, but
I love everything he's done. So
yeah.
Wait, what do you think? Are you guys going to stay for all 3 days, or are you just doing the Saturday that you're there?
I would like to. I mean, it's close enough where even if I wanted to, I could just go up there and back. It's like an hour and a half from Milwaukee. I might do that. I do have like I have a family gathering in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, the day that we're playing that I'm gonna go to for a bit. So I hope I don't miss anything cool that day because there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
A lot of cool bands playing that. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on it. And there's like, especially like, there's a lot of stuff I don't want to miss. So I'm sure I'm gonna be there at least part of every day. So.
Oh, I know what it is. Did you get? So you are going to be playing with the Subhumans? Did you get that?
No, that was the first World in Action show. It was a little over a year ago now, like end of May 31st last year. That was the first World in Action show. That was awesome. They were so good. I can't believe I was like thinking about it and I was like last time I saw them they were still really good, but then I was like, wait, that was in 2004. There's a lot 20 years between them, but they destroyed. Like I was so inspired by how good they were. Like that just like it was life affirming.
Yeah, as long as they've been around, it's really something.
Yeah. I've seen them 3 times in my life. Like I definitely missed them the first time around, but then right when I started like playing in bands and stuff and going to shows, like that was when they did that, like I think it was like maybe 97 or 98 when they did that first reunion tour, and I saw them on that, and that was amazing. And then I like seen them one other time then, and then this time they came back through, and it's just like it's mind blowing. Like especially like I don't know, like singers lose their voice, and like Dick was just like on fire, like he was just flying all over the place, like just like pure energy. It was amazing.
I think it's how you take care of your voice too.
Yeah.
And genetics and whatever else,
Yeah.
Anyway, well, this was great. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll catch up with you guys. It sounds like you got a lot going on, so maybe one of them will end up meeting up eventually.
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, hopefully, some band I'm in will play Baltimore soon. So, it's Daniel James Gang will most likely tour at some point. Same with World in Action. I think both those bands just need to get like proper releases out before we start playing out more. But yeah.
Falling on deaf ears.
Okay, Deaf Ears 1 is the new album from Pleasure Carcass called Pleasure Carcass. Now, Stace and I are typically assaulted with bands wanting reviews every day. Just our email box is always blowing up. And they send us these promos that have gushing praise from every source, from Pitchfork to Newsweek, full histories of all the pizza parlors and dive bars they played at, and the inspiration for their lyrical depth that's inspired by their house cat, Robert Meowney Jr. I ask, whatever happened to a little intrigue? Why does everything need to be explained in excruciating detail anyway? Do you think anybody knew who Sparks were when they were first appearing on Top of the Pops? Or Link Wray when he did that crazy guitar solo on American Bandstand? My point is, a little mystery is kind of missing these days in the age of the interwebs.
Here to refute this phenomenon is the curious one-piece band Pleasure Carcass, entirely composed and recorded by Los Angeles-based polymath Curtis Brock. On offer are no less than 21 short songs that span 45 minutes, with titles like Dig Up Gandhi and I Am the Boogeyman. Imagine a band like the Retards bashing out songs about serial killers, suicide attempts, and human dissection with a wicked sense of dark humor. What else do you need to know? Most of the songs bump along in a splendid electrified mid-tempo racket, but there are some demented surprises that keep this debut interesting. For example, the epic acoustic number, Violence, which uncorks not only a truly bitchin' guitar solo, but also the chorus, about 93 times. LSD shows off some pretty stellar bass chops against a ska-style guitar rhythm that destroys anything by those mega posters rancid.
Ooh.
Highlights for me are definitely the manic pace of Bodyfucker with his verge of falling apart chorus and lyrics about the joys of corpse molestation.
Also worth mentioning is the brilliantly titled I Can't Die, I've Tried, with lyrics like, how many times I've tripped on barbed wire, how many times I've choked on salt water, all done to a furious Ramones The Attack. The album closes out with the utterly fascinating doo-wop adjacent zombie rapist hybrids, which I won't attempt to describe any further due to respect for the aforementioned air of mystery, except to say that it's romantic enough to bring a tear to this aging eye. So get over to Bandcamp and buy a download of this puppy today. Play it constantly for all your friends, especially the ones that are into that Ed Sheeran shit. This song is Bodyfucker. Okay, Deaf Ears 2.
This is candy. It's inside you. Candy is defined as a confection that features sugar as the principal ingredient. Candy can be hard or soft, and despite what the people at M&M's would have you believe, is often messy and sticky, and not especially good for you. All the same, it is still something we crave from time to time, a sweet treat to help with feeling down or stressed. The same could be said for this quartet from Richmond, Virginia, because they sure do scratch an itch with their own tooth-rotting blend of hardcore, nu metal, and industrial, with in-your-face stylings that have a similar effect of that sugar rush.
They return with their third full length, a surgical strike of 12 1 to 3 minute tracks. One look at that album cover, and you can feel the creepy, seedy underbelly vibe with the fanged, flaming skull, evil-looking clowns, a crying child, and drawings of a nude woman, and various fanged, cartoony creatures. And it makes one think more of the promise of candy that lures people into white vans. Even the title, It's Inside You, is unsettling, ironic, disturbing, and produced by Kurt Ballou. With a cast of guest musicians, I could hardly wait to hit play.
The opening track, Existence, starts with a low rumbling riff from Michael Quick, when in bangs the home invasion-style drum violence of Steve Diageno. The vocals of Zachary Querum are full of piss and vinegar, and when his scream sinks to the drum beats, it becomes impossible not to bob your head. It's that bass of Drew Stark that adds that danceable boogie feel. Likewise, in Short Circuit, the bass and drum breakout are downright sinister, and this mid-paced chuggy riff fest. A vibrato guitar solo is provided by guest Aaron Mellett. Querum has the most exasperated ugh here with a computer beat-bopping like R2-D2 at the close. This is why the title track is a similar and mid-paced scorcher with riffs and vinyl scratching, because why not?
Why not?
Provided by guest El Cernino, and particularly mordant vocals. Guest guitarist David Gagliardi provides a scorching guitar solo against Diageno's pulsing drum line. The strobing synths make this possible dance club fodder. The heaviest track may be a tie between Dehumanize, with drum kit abuse in the form of blast beats and gruff gang vocals layered with synth bops and a chaotic frenzied feel, and Terror Management with equally berserk drumming and riff working up a froth.
Candy has another flavor on this album, where the rave lights come on and the electric drum pad comes out in tracks like Dancing to the Infinite Beat, with calliope synths, echoey shouts, and a rising air raid tune to all layers gyrate over each other. In a similar electric drum vein is Dreams Less Sweet. Also, just so no one can say there's no sex nor violence, this is a love song of sorts. After an intro of sirens and street noise, eerie synth tones churn against echoey drums under Querum's vocals that are soaked in battery acid. Lust like a lullaby, I can't forget. Intoxicating connection never felt so real. Can it last forever, aching for something more? There's a lot going on in these short tracks that seem even longer due to their complexity. Decadence may be a slippery slope to sin, but gosh, it feels so darn good. My advice is to enjoy the dark indulgence of candy. Fans of Knock Loose and Guilt Trip will be easily lured. Even the vinyl itself is a frosty white glaze with multicolored sprinkles, but don't eat it. It'll further tempt you into their van. So let's hear a song. This is You Will Never Get Me. Okay, Deaf Ears 3 is the new EP from Passenger Princess, the PPEP. Protest songs. They were such an important part of punk rock in the early days. This idea of keeping power at heel. Like Dead Kennedy's California Uber Alles or Crass's Do They Owe Us a Living? It's kind of fallen to the wayside in this era of on-demand convenience, but this newly formed four-piece from Ottawa are showing a flair for the concept. Passenger Princess's new EP is their first new music following their demo from last year, OC Transpo Sucks, a rant against crappy bus service with one of my favorite lines, patience ain't my strong suit and there's a beer at home with my name on it. Now, where do I sign up for that?
Who hasn't been there?
Yeah.
Vocalist Grace Spicer Pylon shows a knack for delivering venomous tirades with a trace of humor in these 6 songs that do their business quickly over the course of 15 minutes. Guitarist Caden Ribbit shows a deft combination of chord economy and riff creativity that meshes perfectly with Spicer Pylon's bratty yet melodic vocal style. This talented bunch is not afraid to lace their songs with a deadly combination of hooks and venomous social commentary.
Probably the best place to start is Brat, a track that kicks off with a surprisingly AC/DC come hailstorm riff and groovy percussion courtesy of drummer Corey St. Dennis. The layered vocals dialed up by producer James Landbro sound fantastic. The track delivering lines like, I can't cry no more, the pills take care of that, and I'm a brat, just waiting to be tamed, come and take me away.
The up-tempo rant against bad carnal experiences, no porno sex, were called classic punk, like early circle jerks, complete with an impressive guitar solo from Rivet. But the one that I keep coming back to is Parking Ticket, an aggressive criticism of parking attendants with more great lyrics like, I was 2 minutes late and this fucker dinged me, and the sort of pre-chorus, I've got no patience left, I've got no money left. Sadly, in our town, there's no more parking attendants to spit at since everything has been replaced with cameras. But who knows what goes on up in Canada?
As the song fades out, you hear, get a real job. It's great.
At any rate, this combination of spunk, vitriol, and impressive musicianship makes Passenger Princess an EP worth picking up. See what I did there? Let's play a song. This is Arson Girl.
Well, my goodness, we talked a lot about bad restaurant experiences, didn't we?
There's been so many of them.
We do things a little different here. So where are you going?
Yeah, we talked about it, I think, on the show, but I was forced to do the Japanese steak thing at our Christmas party last year, you know, to be with people I'm with all day anyway and don't want to be with at all.
Yeah.
You know, for the guy to flip the egg up on his hat. I'm like, really? We haven't got anything new yet? We're still doing the flipping the egg in the chef's hat? That's it? That's all you guys?
Is all that crap necessary? You stupid bastard. Yeah.
You know, when I used to work for Chi-Chi's, and that was that ridiculous thing where they bring the sizzling fajitas out to you.
You were good. That was the first restaurant to do that shit.
Yeah, and it was like, they still cook the food on the grill, and then right before you took it out, you tell them to fire it, which basically meant we had all these iron skillets that were already on the grill, so they're all hot. You had to put them on a piece of wood. He would put the meat on there, throw a little grease, and you had to quick get it to the table while it was still sizzling. The whole thing was just for show.
The whole thing made me nervous. I never liked it. It was like, take it easy with that, you know. So
Do we really need
When I worked
Smoking, sizzling.
when I
food.
worked at the Bowling Alley Bar Bowl, I can't believe I did this. Every night, I had to take this vat of sizzling fryer grease, walk it, I mean, a good 100 feet out to the barrel where you poured it. I could have fallen. I could have fried myself on that. I must have done that. I dreaded it every night. That is so unsafe. I mean, anyway.
I am shocked they don't have scars from picking up those wood slabs and the grease would run down your arm and you couldn't drop their dinner, so you just had to put it down.
But the woman did give me free food, so I guess that was made up for it. It's like French fries, yay.
I'll take death and French fries.
Yeah. I melted my face off, but boy, this burger's delicious. So.
This has been the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast. Special thanks to Daniel James for appearing on the show. His second time. Snaggletooth theme courtesy of Jens Kemgren of the Firebombs. Deaf Ears theme by Tim Green of the Fucking Champs. Season 3 artwork courtesy of Casey Angel. You can find him at Casey Angel Art on Instagram. Also, including checking out all of Daniel James' products, get your pencils out. You also need to add Pleasure Carcass, Candy, and Passenger Princess. All content 2024, the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Your order's up. Dehydrated quail's ass.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.